Hey everybody, we're back with a new episode of
Hello?
Oh shit.
Hello, Brian. I know we have a podcast to do
You were
today.
doing last time. Yeah.
Another interview.
Yes. I'm sorry, they were supposed to tell you. We gotta do two guys, same person. I know. We'll do better next time. Bye. Thanks for coming out. I love you.
Yeah, instead of like putting room mics in.
Dude. So, okay. Well, hi. Everybody, this is Jay Teco.
Yes, sir.
Nailed it.
Telco, yeah.
So it's funny that we're already talking about this. So you are into a bunch of different things. You're kind of all over the place. I met you just out and about, actually, at
Cafe Mustache, I think.
Cafe
right?
Mustache.
Yeah.
I was at a table and you were like, "Can we have this chair?" I was like, "No, you can have this whole table."
Yeah, so let me tell that story because I actually think that that's one of the sweetest things anybody has ever done. So we went to a sold out show. I believe Miserable People that was Karma Fett that day.
Karma
right?
Fett, yeah, correct.
Yeah, so shout out to Karma Fett. I actually just saw him recently. And my homie Rios and that shit. What up, Rios?
Were you at the strip club show?
Yeah.
We wanted to go. It was just we had stuff going on.
We can talk about
That's
that.
Sick. Yeah, hell yeah.
I was very front row.
Excellent.
So actually, all right, I'll tell that one later. But
cool.
Basically, we went to go see Karma Fett
Yep.
at Cafe Mustache. Place was packed.
Yeah.
And I was with my partner, and I was like, "Oh man, there's nowhere left." One guy gets up from the bar, and I'm like, "All right, you sit at the bar. Like, I'll just stand here."
Mm-hmm.
And then, table closest to the door, by like just in the back, was just my boy Ryan here, like just sitting there.
Just sitting.
And I asked him, I was like, "Hey, can I steal one of these chairs?" And he's like, "Actually, I can take your chair, and you guys can just have this table."
It was
like,
two of you.
Yeah, it's like this table would actually be a better spot for such a lovely couple. And I was like, my heart. You know how the Grinch was like, and his heart grew 6 times that day. That's literally how I felt. It was just like, good people in the wild. What the fuck?
I thought you had to go to the specific Reddit.
Yeah, it's
for good people.
It's literally like the opposite of the people of Walmart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the most selfless. Just like, hey man, I think it would make you and your girls' night. So let me just be a solid dude.
It made perfect sense.
Yeah, literally.
And I had no idea who you were, genuinely.
Yeah.
And then I saw you doing photography at my first Rise of Leo show, my first book club anything. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "What's up?" Then we run into each other again at Livewire, and I'm like, "All right, this is crazy. We gotta." And I find out you're part of. So I'm going to wrap around here to the beginning. You are currently an engineer at OwlCat Studios, correct?
Yes.
So I kind of figured you were doing something when I saw you taking pictures and videos, and you had mentioned briefly at a show. We're working. We'll catch up sometime. Did some research. So tell me about. We'll start with OwlCat since we're there already. Tell me about it. I love the interviews I've seen. It feels like an umbrella because OwlCat's doing pictures and videos at shows. They're doing mixing, recording, podcasts with like fatherless behavior. Tell me all about that stuff.
So basically, shout out to Walter who plays bass for me.
Nice.
But he's actually the main photography guy for OwlCat. Mm-hmm. And one day he was just like, "Man, what do you want out of music, right? Like, what's lofty goals?" And I was like, I think it'd be really cool to get to the point where it warrants having my own studio.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I think you can just have those." and I was like, "No." It's like I'm pretty sure like you get to it. You know, like Prince's eventual like private studio, like
because I know what you're thinking.
Like,
right. The mahogany floor, separated with a clear basement just for bass, right?
Yeah, it's like tailored to your needs type studio. And he was like, "Well, what would that look like?" And so like one day I started like just drawing different size like diagrams and stuff, like schematics basically. and I guess blueprints. Because schematics are for electronics, right? So blueprints. Yeah.
Okay.
And floor plans, and he's like, "What do you think that would cost?" And so I just went on. Home Depot, went through all the things that like I would need to make certain size things, and I was like, I think you can make it for like a couple grand. And he's like, between a couple people, that sounds reasonable,
right?
And so we were just like, all right, let's try to find a space.
Yeah.
And then we just had the money, and it's just like, actually it turned out to not be a lot because we just had so much stuff already. And yeah, it turns out you can just have your own studio.
You can. I'm finding a lot of that. Like, you can have your own podcast. Mm-hmm. You can do. I have a annual music festival that I'm putting on, but it's just a DIY show. But I get enough bands, and it takes up enough of the day. I call it a music festival. There is no difference playing a show in a basement and headlining Coachella, other than equipment and size of the audience. You're on a stage, playing some music to some people. Now, I know there's a lot that comes with Coachella, but in principle, there is no difference between you playing some summer gig on a beach and some summer gig at the biggest beach party, of the year. Right. There's no rules. You can make your own studio. You can have your own artist space. It's a garage. Who gives a shit? It's an artist space, right?
And so that's actually the funny thing about that Karma Fett show. Shout out to Karma Fett again.
Absolutely.
Is like, they did it at the Newport Theater, which is just a local theater. Okay. And basically what happened was Karma Fett was the live band playing sensual covers and whatever, and like,
which is their sound anyway.
Yeah. I describe them as music to pipe to. Totally. They hate that I say that all the time, but it's gone on record a couple of times now.
Life is a little column A, a little column B. I like it.
But yeah, so they just like hired a couple of like, they called themselves pole athletes.
Right. Pole dancers.
No, they specifically said athlete. That was kind of the weird thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I guess they made it a point to be like, we are not strippers. Some of us are authors. Some of us are...
I get that.
Whatever. And it's like, this is a production. Like, this is a show. Like, this is not...
It's a pole show.
Yeah.
Not a... I get that.
I was like...
Cirque du Soleil versus...
I was like, okay.
Strip.
But then they were like... But anyways, hit up Henry, our singles daddy, and you can Venmo him, and he'll give you stacks of ones to throw at the girls. And I was like...
At the athletes.
I was like, hold on.
Dude.
It's like... conflating points, but I see what you're doing there, and fantastic time. I would have never guessed how much value a live band that's fucking tight, pardon my language, but like...
the internet
would add to an impressive strip show.
Yeah. So I went to my first strip club when I was 18, and I was like, got it. Don't need to do this again. But the one true thing I walked away from was the true athleticism for those chicks on the pole. When you see high heel marks on ceiling tiles, that's impressive. I don't care if you're like, this whole sex thing is weird, I don't like it. You got your feet up there? That's like 12 feet in the fucking air. Yeah. So I understand pole athlete. I do. I still think there's a difference between stripper and pole dancer. Dancing on a pole. Chill out. Okay, so were you there just to see it, or were you...
Yeah, so Rios, the guitarist
Marcos.
for Karma Fett, is actually like
he's in a million things.
Yeah, but he's a very close homie. I love him. Mm-hmm. And he was playing, and he's like, you got to bring wifey out to this. And I was like, nice. How dare you assume that my lady would want to participate in this debauchery? And then I asked her, and she's like, that sounds fucking awesome. And I was like, all right, fine.
Totally.
I was like, fine, we'll go.
Good on her.
But I will say, and this is a bummer that this one isn't on video, but basically, the most impressive thing I saw was a girl extended her arms at like 30 degrees.
Okay.
Pulled herself up to 90-degree stiffness like a flag.
Whoa.
Was spinning around the pole and pulling and pushing herself from the fucking pole.
Literally athlete.
And I was just like, where do you keep all those muscles? Like, what the fuck just happened? For anybody that doesn't understand, she was parallel to the pole off the ground at a 90-degree angle and just pumping herself in and out of the pole's center to increase her speed. She was spinning the whole fucking time.
I will literally see if I can find a clip of something like that on YouTube and link it in the description.
Holy shit.
It's impressive. Yeah. No,
that shit got my heart racing just thinking about it again. I was like...
So it was a good party. What
fantastic.
Did the athletes have anything timed to the music, or were they, who put on the show first? Was it Karma Fett who got pole athletes, or did the pole athletes get a live band?
Oh man, I'm gonna get her name wrong. Oh no, okay, I remember.
Okay,
so it was one of the athletes, and promoter of the show was a woman named, I think her Instagram handle is Patchouli Pole.
Okay.
And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm like 90%.
You're fine. We'll link
it. If it is, we'll put it right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, like she put it on. I guess she knows the Karma Fett crew, and I guess a lot of the athletes work together as instructors for different pole schools or whatever.
Cool.
And so, yeah, I guess that's how they got put together. But fantastic concept.
I saw it on Instagram and immediately wanted to go. We literally just, timing didn't work out. Having a family, you gotta, make your calls. But I immediately was like, that's genius.
It's sold out. It was packed.
Crossing, I remember in college trying to cross, like, disciplines. Hey, you guys are doing films? Let's do something together. Let's do a music video. Yeah. So I like the idea of these art forms doing shit together. Like, get a little jazz band for your art exhibit. Get a kick-ass band for your... I keep also wanting to say striptease. It's not a striptease. It's pole athletics. I love the idea of people being like, you have.
Let me just say, they did fully strip. Just
totally,
so you know.
I assume that they would do everything but strip.
It's like they wore the pasties and whatever, but they did go all the way down. So I'm like, it's a fun concept to think about because they technically put on a play, and the play's setting was strip club.
This kind of feels like it's not prostitution because we're filming. You know what I mean? Like, it's not striptease. It's a play about a strip club. And somebody got around some regulation where this is a sex business versus this is a play.
There was a dude in a thong selling stacks of 20s, though. Like, so it's like, it's kind of like, all right. But also, like, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
If they cannot pay their rent off of doing one of those a month, I would be surprised.
Dude.
Like,
do they do them once a month?
I have no idea, but they should do them forever. Like, I've been texting Rios nonstop. I was like, you should do that all the time. It's like, because he's also in this project called Piraguas and Piropos.
Yes.
And so they do a lot of, like, house band stuff. And I was like...
I'm blanking on his name right now. He's also in that band. He used to live in this apartment.
No way.
Yes. I will edit out the silence. Because
homie that plays the percussions?
No, the other guitar player or
Jose.
Thank you. Jose used to live in this apartment.
No shit.
I moved in upstairs of this house.
Yeah.
Post military, went to school, lived with 3 girls and just as buddies, and went to Columbia downtown, turned my life around after Afghanistan. I was just like, I need to. I came home and I started talking to this girl back in Kentucky where I lived in Kentucky with my parents. Dad was a Vietnam vet, so he was like, hey, let's turn it around and then you can pick a college and figure it out. I was talking to this girl, absolutely amazing woman. Now she's married with her own kid, but I remember being like, I'm emotionless. It's nothing you're doing wrong. I gotta go find me. I gotta move to Chicago, do something crazy, and just turn my life around because you are amazing. I've known you since high school, and I'm not here, man. And she was super cool about it. She's like, go have your adventure. And so I moved here, and I met Marcos at some party when we were living upstairs. And every time I meet him, I am increasingly hammered. And I'm like, it's every time. And I'm just like, if I could catch him sober and just be like, Marcos, it's good to see you. But it's never like that. I show up, Marcos, it's all good, it's high. And he's like, hey, Ryan, how you doing? So
You got real Chris Farley on him?
I can't help it. I don't know what it is. He's just a dude who's been around. Yeah. Super nice. He plays with another friend of mine, Zach Nicholas. Plays
keyboardist.
Yep. Insanely close to this friend group. He plays with Chris Robbins, who was previously known as Fable. Excellent band in the Karma Fett kind of area of sound.
Sexy music.
Dude, but like also a little what was I calling him? Like the like Vic Mensa, almost Chance the Rapper,
like hip hoppy.
Yeah, very much so, but
a
widespread. If Vic Mensa and Chance the Rapper were still in like this kind of low DIY, hey, we're all just kind of getting started, they'd be in that same sound arena playing shows with him. Excellent, really. Zach, he was like, come to his show at Dorian's because I'm pretty sure he's going to be the next famous guy out of Chicago. I was like, okay, I believe you, Zach. And then, so, yeah, because of him, Marcos, Jose, it's so how small and massive Chicago is. 6.5 million people, and still you and I know at least 12 of the same people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, we had a fate encounter, and it's like, all right, thank you, stranger, I'll never see you
For sure, great
again.
night.
And then, like, you've just popped up in my life, like, a couple of times.
This whole scene makes it so small. Like, this is a massive city. I know it's not New York, but it's not, some tiny little town. And
I will say though, I go to a lot of things, and I'm actually more impressed that like you left such a memorable impression that it also kept making each subsequent like I guess reunion like exciting. Like you literally planted that seed, and I think that that's really interesting because that shows a lot about attitude and personality.
Yeah.
Like I think you were more polite than the average person I've ever met. And it's like you truly like were a positive force to a stranger for no reason. Because like I was asking for like an inch, and you willingly were like, "I got miles. Do you want miles?
you want my house?" I very much like that. I've been finding out recently that I think it's because growing up I was the kid who mom and dad would stop fighting if I was funny. So I'm just trying to save the world and keep everybody together. But I genuinely think it's kind of what's missing is just, what if we were just abjectly nice and tell somebody, you know what I mean? A warrior in a garden, I'm ready to go at any time. But you don't have to go at any time. You know what I mean? You can put out kind of what the world needs, and I think it needs a little kindness.
See, that's the vet in you. I'm more of a scurry awayer guy. Like, I'm oddly polite.
Yeah.
Like, to everybody. Because I'm just like, hey, I do not like negative interactions.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Always
what if I had this tiny baby joint? Can I light that here?
Yeah.
I specifically brought a tiny one because I was like, maybe if he says no on the big one.
No, I like it. Let me open that window.
It's like, I can be like, tiny joint.
Here's what I'm going to do. Let me open that window, but right now while I'm opening it, I'm going to ask you, because we already talked about OwlCat, I want to hit Fatherless Behavior.
Oh,
that is your podcast.
Yeah.
Through OwlCat?
Yeah, so because me and Walter are the hosts, the full name of the podcast is the Fatherless Behavior Podcast with Foreign Sunsets. Which is a mouthful, so we just say Fatherless Behavior.
And Foreign Sunsets is your band.
Yes.
Got it.
Which I sing and write the music for. Check it out.
I was going to ask.
Yeah. Check it out. Foreign Sunsets. That's Your Face in Terabang on Spotify right now.
And actually, so That's Your Face and Learning to Grow Up EP came out in October 2018. That's on Bandcamp. Listen to that whole thing today. It was awesome.
Thanks. It was really funny because we had a lot of fun recording that original EP, but That's Your Face, which is our latest single that dropped in November,
2020,
I think?
2022.
No,
September
it was this
23.
Year.
You're right.
It was this year, so September. That was the first thing that we recorded at OwlCat.
Cool.
With
sounds so good.
Yeah, with everybody there. I did the recording along with Brian of he's the sound guy for and partner for Backyard 606. Have you been there?
Yeah, I've heard about them a lot recently. So that's sick. So and you sing and write the music?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so for the most part, I write the music and then I present it to different friends and stuff.
Yep.
And like ask them, what would you do? What would you do? Like, what do you think?
Totally.
And I usually get a lot of input from people, which is actually really nice. And that's why I like having like Brendan, who's another engineer with us at the studio.
Yeah.
He's a really good bass player.
Ooh, good.
Like his warm up is always the Seinfeld intro. That's how he tests a bass. He's just like, yeah,
yeah, I know.
That's the way. That's the way he always like tests a bass. Like,
sick.
Yeah.
Funny enough, that's a keyboard in real life.
I know. I've seen the clip.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but everybody always thinks it's a bass.
Yeah.
But so he's done a couple of things for me, just being like, "Oh, I like that lick, but what if you did this instead?"
Yeah.
And that's actually the main reason why I wanted the studio is because like I find myself writing in a vacuum a lot.
Mm-hmm. You're sitting in my vacuum.
And I wanted the optionality to just have people that I like and like friends and everything.
Yep.
Just like be able to show them something and be like, what did you think? And if they have an idea of any kind,
right there and there,
we can just do it right then and there. You know what I mean?
Love that.
And so like it's happened quite a bit, and I'm super fucking lucky because I'm working on a lot of things right now, music wise for Foreign Sunsets.
Okay.
But in order to have this like studio, we wanted to do like showcasing of like our abilities, like with audio engineering,
of course, the whole
videography.
thing. I mean, it's free real estate. Record it, edit it, and it's all showing. Play it, and it's showing off. Hey, we've got this whole thing.
Yeah, and so like the live sessions we've been doing as part of the podcast.
I love that. I saw the Rise of Leo one. I thought that was genius.
So our first one was actually back last year with the flips.
Okay,
but we had a corruption error with our computer. And so we lost all the video for it.
Ouch.
And I've been salvaging the audio tracks little by little, but like there's a lot of stuff I have to do.
Dude, yeah.
So
get them back.
That's the thing, that they're tricky because we no longer have the PC that we had before. So it's like, it's a whole thing. But the Rise of Leo one was the first one we did this year. And that's actually how like I found out you even had a podcast, was because like you beat us to the punch on the release, because it still takes us a while to do the edits.
Yeah,
but it's because we have like 6 to 7 people on mic.
Yeah, at
a time.
Yep,
with multiple cameras running at all times. So,
which I love. It feels like, and so yeah, I had gone to the book club show with the original one with Rise of Leo and Antillion.
Yeah.
Got to know him because I was close with Antillion. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying this podcast thing. You know, come on over. Let's try these interviews, because this started as a pandemic project just for myself. I was doing 2 guys, same person, talking to myself, just about life. You know, I was like, wasn't for anybody. I wanted to learn basically how to do microphones better for my music. And I was like, this is cool. It gets me out of my head mid-2021. You know what I mean? Put it on YouTube just to understand uploading and how to make, all this stuff that was kind of just for me. And then I'm sitting here, I'm getting into the scene, and I'm like, what if I interviewed people in this scene? Because I feel like I was born in 88. I'm like constantly rock and roll's little brother. I missed the magazine era of the 90s where everybody was doing cool shit. The early 2000s, I was in high school. I missed Vine because my dad was like, you're a weird gamer musician with a short attention span. Nothing's coming for you. And then Vine explodes where you can only do 6 seconds at a time. Oh, I would have exploded. But I want to do all the things that I missed in a modern space. And it felt weird being older. I'm 35. But I'm hanging out with all of these different bands. Some are older than me. Some are way younger than me. Yeah. And I'm the one that's like worried about my age. No one else is. And it's super positive here. It's super cool. I didn't realize that the Chicago DIY scene was such a big thing and a big deal. I didn't realize so many massive bands came out of here. Rise Against. They're from, this circle of little podunks that we've been playing around. Literally the band Chicago. You know what I mean? And I am in love with it. And so I started doing this podcast. I posted the Rise of Leo thing, and then YouTube was like, hey, here's another thing with Rise of Leo. And I'm like, the fuck is this? This is so cool. It was him. It's like an acoustic set. And that's when I found out that you guys were doing all this awesome shit. Yeah. So when OwlCat's got something going on, like, all this is one thing? You have your band, you have your podcast, you have the studio. When are you playing guitar? When are you mixing drums? When are you hosting a podcast? Is it whenever you're needed?
That's all I do.
Okay.
So I'm the dude at the studio most of the time.
Running in circles, hitting each project.
No, it's just I'm there the most.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I'll do the hosting. Hey, I've got some songs I've been writing.
So that's the plus side of having such a wonderful team is like I get to be a part of just so many other people that know so much other dedicated shit way better. So like Walter's also from like the art school and stuff, and he really got the photography thing going because he was just like, it would be a really good way to like build just one more art skill, but also incorporate it into the thing we already wanted to do, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like if we were thinking of going media, like multimedia anyways, like podcasts, live sessions, recordings, like just content in general, is like we should just even branch it out more if we already have the cameras,
Yeah.
And so he really took it upon himself to focus even more on photography, which he was already doing.
That's cool.
And then luckily because of that, like Brendan's also like into photography, and Brian got into it more because he does the live shows at Backyard 606, which is a like local, I want to say it's Humble Park area, DIY spot. And when he was doing those, he started live streaming those. That's actually how I met him. We opened up a show at Backyard 606, and he was like, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out like a way to live stream these shows." So we were the first people to try the live session over there with. And so then I mentioned to him. I was like, "Hey, would you like to do this in an even more controlled setting?"
Yeah.
And then that's how we got the ball rolling on that concept.
So
it was like he wanted to do live streamed like DIY punk shows and just shows in general.
Of course.
Which if you ever go to Backyard 606, Brian is not only running sound, this motherfucker is cooking.
Hey.
He literally makes a giant pot of birria, and he'll be grilling quesadillas like with birria and like the dipping thing.
I gotta meet this guy
while running sound.
I gotta meet this guy. That's
he's
awesome.
Fucking insane,
dude.
Yeah. So he's really like he understands live sound and instrument miking.
I love that.
And like room acoustics really well.
It's a skill.
Yeah. And so like having him in like such a, I'm not gonna lie, our studio's small. It's what we can do right now. But because we have him who understands like live sound so well, we've been able to, every single time we attempt something, up the game even more. So like Rise of Leo was DI bass with 2 acoustic guitars.
Yep. Microphones.
So mic'd acoustic guitars, DI bass, and they were just in the room, couple ambient mics, and a pretty nice vocal mic. I think we had 3 cameras going.
Yeah.
And from that, we then did Fantasma Negra, which we had a full band session.
Yeah.
Where they had live drums, 2 fucking keyboards.
Damn, the real deal.
DI'd bass.
Yeah.
Live guitar. So live amped guitar.
Yep.
Acoustic guitar, vocals.
Wow.
So all at once. And then immediately after their live session, we cut that down, flipped the room, prepared an acoustic session for them, where we mic'd the room and did all these different percussions and stuff. And so that's actually dropping, I want to say, this week.
Excellent. I'll link all of your stuff down in the description. I've been diving through it all.
Yeah. So we dropped the full band session, like the actual full band session last week, but the acoustic set is dropping this week. Yeah.
Excellent.
Along with their podcast episode, actually.
Nice.
We shot it right on like Valentine's Day.
Yep.
So we were talking like romance and like all that shit. So it's real fun.
Anything new coming from Foreign Sunsets?
Yeah, so I've actually been working on a lot of different things song-wise, and I'm close to wrapping up a few.
Yeah.
And I've actually had Brendan, who's our other audio engineer.
Okay.
He's done like bass on some of the tracks. I had Adrian, formerly of Fantasma Negra. He used to be their bass player. He actually dropped drums on one of the tracks I'm going to release soon.
Nice. When you write, are you like on guitar? Are you on piano? Are you at home? Like,
I write straight to the DAW.
Same. So you'll just are you all the instruments by yourself?
Yeah. So I'll put everything there, and then I'll usually sometimes I'll like sample drums just to get an idea.
Stop! You are literally me. Because that's all I need. I don't. It's not like it's not a programmed loop and then it's my song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I need a drum beat that I wouldn't think of. Throw on a loop and then immediately I'll have like I know the bass.
Yeah.
There's the guitar.
Yep.
And then if you don't like the sound of the loop, just re-record, keep the or even just keep it in there. I love that. That's really cool.
Well, I also have a MIDI pad, so sometimes I'll just be like, this is kind of what I want.
Yep.
And it's like that'll be a placeholder because I already have an idea for the bass.
Yeah.
And I just need like a kind of interactive way to keep time type deal.
Are you a drummer? Can you make a drum set work? Or are you more of a strings kind of guy?
I'm getting really good at miking drums for other people to play.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I am not a I am not a drummer, not by any measure. I do have mad respect for really good drummers, and so. Oh, speaking of really good drummers, so one of the guys that was working with us for a long time was my brother and drummer formerly for the band. Okay, Bash. He's actually the drummer for Background Character. And so,
nice.
Before we put the moniker of OwlCats on our production stuff, we were actually like working with Background Character, and we did a lot of their music videos. Yep. So Walter was actually the camera guy for a lot of those music videos. Yeah. And Walter's wife was actually one of the actresses in one of the music videos as well. So like we were producing that stuff like even before
early.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I have one last question for you, man, and then we got to go to a show together. Yeah, we're gonna go see Killiam, Rise of Leo, Antillean, and Safety Society. Yeah. 2 more questions. You were here for that first DIY show of ours, weren't you? With Safety Society, Antillean, and Wine Dark Sea, and were you taking pictures for them at my garage?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay. Because that's where I met, other than Rise of Leo, that's where I met Antillean and Safety Society. They came and played. They sold out my backyard. And I was like, I love this. And somebody was taking pictures, but I didn't know if that was you guys yet or...
No, I don't think so. Okay. I first met Antillean at Book Club.
Cool.
That was the first time I met them. Because Noemi had talked to...
She's rad.
Yeah.
I want her to come
Noemi had talked to, I think, Walter or Brian.
Okay.
Also about being on the podcast in the future, so we're pretty stoked on that. But yeah, I think that's the first time I met Antillean.
Was that book club show?
Yeah,
cool.
But I'm so stoked that you also run a venue. Like that's crazy.
It's where my music festival Yardapalooza started. Yeah. Which is now we're rebranding as No Coast Music Festival, and it'll be a once a year local band thing. And then once it outgrew the yard last year, and I was like, we're gonna start getting in trouble. So I was like, what if we did smaller DIY shows, 3 bands versus 6 or 10 or whatever 15 we've got going on. And they were the first one. I did a couple of other ones, and then the weather got really bad, and so I've been talking to a couple of bands, Antillean, Rise of Leo, I mentioned it. I've got all these TVs and all these video games.
Yeah.
I was thinking about putting them in the back, having a concert with video games out there for people to play, and each band does a game cover. Pick a cover, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Guitar Hero are video games, so just cover a song, right, from one of those, and we'll have a video game night. Instead of just DIY shows, what if we had DIY events? That was a weird cutout.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Just die right here. So I love the idea of a pole dancing concert. I love the idea of a video game DIY show. I love I love people doing creative shit. Right? It feels like it's I don't know. Last question here. What was the very first album you ever bought with your own money? It can be on iTunes. By album, you know what I mean? A musical body of art.
So the first thing,
and
this is really stupid, but
they all are. We were tiny.
The first CD I ever bought was in Mexico.
Yeah,
and it was at like the swap meet stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it was definitely a fake CD. It was pirated. It came in like a little plastic baggie.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was a cumbia band called Azul Azul.
Okay.
Which does like Mexican dance music.
Yeah.
But it's all innuendos the whole time.
I love that.
Like,
are they still a thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're still touring.
I'll fucking link them. I don't care.
But like, they have a song called "Just the Tip."
Just the tip.
And the whole time they just keep talking about the tip. But then he's like, "The tip of my toe."
Got it.
And it's like, it's like, fuck you, censors. Like, what'd you think I was talking about?
No, that's funny. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's literally like a comedy cumbia band. Like,
that's excellent.
Yeah, satirical dance music, I guess, was the first album.
I'll try to link it, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to go to this show tonight. We're gonna have a blast. Hope to do more in the future, man. This was great.
Yeah.
Jay Teco, everybody. Thanks for coming out.